Jake Paul is once again at the center of attention in the boxing world, after a highly anticipated showdown against Canelo Alvarez was canceled, leaving Paul without one of the biggest opportunities of his career. The controversial figure has managed to keep his head up and stay focused on his future. Rather than letting the setback derail his ambitions, Paul has channeled his frustration into motivation, vowing to prove his critics wrong with his next fight. On June 28th, Paul will step into the ring at Anaheim's Honda Center, where he will face off against former middleweight champion Julio César Chávez Jr. This fight is not just another event in Paul's boxing journey. It's a chance for him to do something that Canelo himself couldn't do, secure a knockout victory. For years, Paul has openly criticized Canelo's career, accusing him of padding his record with too many easy opponents and benefiting from excessive promotional favoritism. He believes that his own path in boxing, though unconventional, is far more deserving of recognition and praise. The fight against Canelo was supposed to be a monumental clash, a chance to settle the growing rivalry between the two. But when Canelo opted for a multi-fight deal in Saudi Arabia, leaving Paul without the chance to square off against one of the sport's biggest names, it could have been seen as a devastating blow to Paul's ambitions. Instead, Paul took this disappointment in stride, using it as a source of inspiration for his upcoming fight with Chavez Jr. In a recent interview with broadcaster Claudia Trejos, Paul expressed that he's only focused on the present and that the future is something he's not concerned with right now. "I don't eat before I have the food on my table, so right now I'm at 168 to fight Canelo, and that's the only thing I'm thinking about right now," Paul said. His response is a reminder that he's not one to dwell on what could have been. He's all in on the fight at hand. It's clear that for Paul, his full attention is on defeating Chavez Jr., and he's not letting anything distract him from that goal. While Jake Paul may not be focused on the past or the fight that never happened with Canelo, the critics who label his opponents as nobodies are certainly on his mind. Paul has heard the constant barrage of criticism, and during his interview, he responded with his signature bravado. "My career has been different, heavily criticized from the start, but that's the mark of someone who's a disruptor, someone who's changing the game," Paul asserted. He didn't hold back, defending the path he's carved for himself in the boxing world. Paul's message was clear. He's not just a YouTube star dabbling in boxing for attention. He's someone who is genuinely changing the way the sport operates. The criticism he's faced since entering the ring has only made him more determined to succeed, and he's fully aware that challenging the norms of boxing has come with its fair share of skepticism. For Paul, the criticism serves as a reminder that he's on the right track, shaking things up in a sport that can sometimes be too set in its ways. Instead of backing down, he embraces the role of disruptor, knowing that only the boldest of fighters make lasting marks on the sport. Paul's confidence doesn't stop at just addressing the critics. Ahead of his fight with Chavez Jr., he made an incredibly bold claim: a knockout. "I'm doing what Canelo couldn't do, stopping this man." It's a striking statement, one that not only aims to challenge Canelo's abilities, but also sets the stage for Paul to make a major statement about his own skills. Paul believes that he can do what Canelo could not: put Chavez Jr. away in a way that will leave no room for doubt. His words were punctuated by a vivid prediction of how the fight would unfold. "You're going to see Chavez quit. His dad's hands are going to be in his head, and he's going to be turned into another meme, disappointed in his son. All the Mexican fans are going to join Team Paul," he continued, painting an almost cinematic picture of how he thinks the fight will play out. It's clear that Paul isn't just focused on winning. He's determined to dominate, to ensure that this fight is one for the history books. This is not just about proving he can fight. It's about making sure that everyone remembers this fight, remembers him, and recognizes the power he brings to the ring. Paul's words reveal his firm belief that he can not only win, but make an undeniable statement about his place in the boxing world. The decision to face Chavez Jr. wasn't just a last-minute replacement. It was a well-thought-out move by Paul and his team. Chavez Jr., the son of the legendary Mexican boxer Julio César Chávez Jr., has had his fair share of ups and downs throughout his career. Chavez Jr. fought Canelo in May 2017, going the distance with the Mexican star and taking the fight to a decision. While he didn't win, his ability to hang in there with one of the best in the world still carries weight in the boxing community. Over the years, Chavez Jr. has dealt with issues like drug test failures, weight struggles, and a string of losses that have raised questions about his current form. But despite these setbacks, he's still considered a respected figure in the boxing world, with a former WBC middleweight title to his name. For Paul, facing off against Chavez Jr. presents an opportunity to challenge a fighter with real pedigree and experience, not just a stepping stone or a spectacle. If Paul can overcome Chavez, it would not only be a significant victory for his career, but also send a message that he's capable of competing with more seasoned and established boxers, not just celebrities or athletes transitioning into boxing. This is Paul's chance to prove that his rise in the sport isn't just based on hype, it's based on real skill and determination. ESPN has noted that this fight is perhaps the toughest test Paul has faced in his career to date. This isn't just another publicity stunt or a match designed to generate headlines. This is a legitimate boxing challenge for Paul. If he can defeat Chavez Jr. convincingly, it will be a huge step in earning his place as a serious contender in the sport. Critics have often written Paul off as a novelty act, someone who is in the sport for fame and attention rather than for the love of boxing. But if he can defeat a former champion with a respectable career behind him, it will force the boxing world to take Paul seriously. The fight represents more than just an opportunity for Paul to put on a show. It's a chance for him to validate his place in the sport, to prove that his commitment to boxing is real and not just a passing phase. With an 11-1 record, including 7 knockouts, Paul has made significant strides in his boxing career, but he's still fighting for the respect of the critics who question whether he has the chops to make it as a legitimate boxer. This fight could be his chance to silence those critics once and for all by stepping up to the plate against a fighter with real experience and a significant reputation. However, while Chavez Jr. still holds a famous name and a former world title, many experts believe he's no longer in his prime. He's seen better days in the ring, and his recent performances have been far from spectacular. There are doubts about whether Chavez Jr. can still compete at the highest levels, and some wonder if he has the drive and determination to perform at his best. Still, a win for Paul would be huge, especially if he can dominate Chavez in front of a hostile crowd, potentially shifting public perception of him in the process. If Paul can handle the pressure and win in convincing fashion, it could be the moment that propels him into the ranks of serious contenders in the sport. For Paul, this fight is more than just about the victory itself. It's about proving that he belongs, that he can compete with real boxers and hold his own. The stakes are high for both Paul and Chavez Jr., and the outcome of this fight could dramatically shape the trajectory of Paul's boxing career. If Paul manages to secure a dominant win, it would be a step forward in his quest to become a legitimate force in the boxing world. Ultimately, Jake Paul's upcoming fight with Chavez Jr. is about more than just the fight itself. It's about validation. It's Paul's chance to prove that he's not just a YouTuber turned boxer, that he's not just another celebrity trying to make a name in a sport that requires real skill. This is Paul's opportunity to show that he can face off against an experienced former champion and come out on top, silencing the critics who have questioned his place in boxing. With everything on the line, the fight represents a critical moment in Paul's boxing career, a defining moment that could solidify his place in the sport. Whether he wins or loses, Paul knows that this fight is the next big step in proving that he's not just here for the spectacle. He's here to fight, to compete, and to build a legacy. The pressure is on, but if he rises to the occasion, Paul could take a giant leap toward being taken seriously as a legitimate boxer. The world is watching, and June 28th could mark the moment where Jake Paul either confirms his place among boxing's serious contenders or retreats back into the realm of spectacle. The fight will undoubtedly shape his career, and for Paul, it's clear that he's ready for whatever comes next.